Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking Balenciaga. So strap right in for some utterly insane revelations. So if you don't know who Balenciaga are, they are an extremely high-end fashion brand. You may hear the term luxe or luxury being pinged about regarding them. On the other hand, you might just see what I see, and that is these god-awful outfits. Fashion labels aren't really my thing. My philosophy is, why buy for £3 when you can get the same for a few quid? Why the hell would I want a trash bag anyway? I mean, have you seen those things? Seriously. Anyway, getting off topic, this is who they are. They basically sell very expensive items, and these items don't, in my opinion, don't look any better than something cheaper. Okay, maybe they're made with like gold or something. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get the industry, so I'm not the one to comment. I just say what I see. Bit like catchphrase. Now, unless you've been living under a rock these past few weeks, you'll have heard about the Balenciaga teddy bear scandal. However, if you haven't, then please crawl out from underneath that rock and let's educate ourselves. On 2nd of October 2022, Balenciaga, the of all high-end fashion fame, launched their brand new summer 2023 collection, and the advertising campaign that went with it turned just a few heads. Now, when I say a few heads, I mean the internet literally had a meltdown, and with good reason. The ad campaign's theme was disturbing, beyond disturbing. Children, young children, literal toddlers, were photographed holding the worst looking, awful, obscene, angry, yet obscene BDSM teddy bear you'll ever see in your life. Is that enough to grab your attention? Maybe that was their aim. It was just to grab people's attentions, but bloody hell they did so. That's right, a BDSM teddy, complete with chains, cuffs, dog collars, the lot. These were some sort of bags, allegedly. I don't really see why you would want a bag that looked like that, but anyway, you know, each to their own, I guess. God knows who it's aimed at, but one thing I can categorically and wholeheartedly say is they are not, I repeat, not aimed at, nor should ever be in the vicinity of young children, far less children being the focal point of promoting these heavy duty BDSM bear bags. Teddies aside, the whole scene and setting for these pictures were just wrong on so many levels. There were wine glasses there. Who were these intended for? The whole setting was that of a groomer's paradise. As you can see from the photos, it's all set up nicely for just a spot of SA with whoever the child is expecting. I'm sorry, but it's true. It's just sick and highly warped. I mean, I've, you know, it's not just my opinion, I think. I've read other people have had that same feeling about it, you know, BDSM, alcohol laid out there for the kid. It's just, the mind boggles how anybody ever thought this was a good idea. Anyone, anywhere that passed the process of thinking, deciding and doing, I'm, you know, it isn't just me, is it? Not one of those items being photographed is intended for children, so why have a child front and center? Then to use a teddy, which is traditionally a child's toy, coupled with a child, but the toy is in full BDSM gear. Are you seeing the problem yet? Following on from the Teddies scandal, Balenciaga's other ad campaigns came under scrutiny as people started looking more closely at what they'd been up to. That's where the CP documents came to light. This was in fact an earlier campaign from July 2022, but hadn't been picked up until the Teddies campaign came under the spotlight. In the campaign photo, there was an office scene with lots of office stationery strewn about. A Balenciaga bag sat on top of a seemingly innocent document. However, upon closer look, you can see the document was from a court case which determined whether CP could be deemed as free speech under American law. That's right, in the middle of a Balenciaga ad campaign, there was a CP court document. This was indeed verified to be from a real case. So, why use a document from a real court case? And worse still, on this particular subject matter, the mind boggles what is going on. You know, either in the fashion industry, the Balenciaga office, or the ad agency office. Everything just is insane. I just don't know. It's just so extremely off in so many ways. Why? Just why, if not done intentionally, you just wouldn't unless you were getting some sort of kick or reaction out of it. Which I think is fairly fair, you know. There is a very good possibility this was just planted there as like a joke, you know, in the back, you know, an inside joke sort of thing, but it's just weird. Did the internet do its thing? You better believe it did. The haters, the detractors, the woke, the non-woke, the vegan, the non-vegan, they all came out to join forces in their utter condemnation of the incidents. The public were calling for heads to roll, for the rich to ditch their Balenciaga outfits. There were public and recorded burning sessions of the brand, and high-profile names came out of the woodwork to denounce their support of the brand. Even Big Kimmy K took a stand after initially weighing up if it was worth losing thousands of dollars per year as a brand ambassador. Every news outlet latched onto the story with their slimy, wriggly tentacles. Washington Post, New York Post, the Daily Mail, all banded together much in the same vein as the aforementioned public did, all slamming Balenciaga for their sexualizing of children in their ad campaign. Every story from every single angle. The sheer vitriol these news outlets spewed regarding how bad the portrayal of children in somewhat grooming environments were, whilst using the very same photographs in their newspapers, complete with BDSM Teddy accompanied child. Not one outlet considered the photos worthy enough to blur their child's faces or cut the child out of the photo. Not one. So for all the sensationalism about how bad it was, clearly not bad enough to protect the kids that you were calling Balenciaga out for not protecting the kids. You know what I mean? It is a double standard. I'm not usually one to stick up for the new media like YouTube and social medias and whatnot, versus mainstream, but conversely, every single video I've seen from YouTubers on the subject have blurred or blanked the children's faces. So, you know, you work it out. It's just newspapers, traditional newspapers don't seem to care. They just want the story, whereas YouTubers, they seem to want the story but also care. So, you know. Gabriele Galimberti is the Italian photographer behind the now infamous teddy bear campaign. A well-respected photographer previously working for such renowned outlets as the National Geographic, Galimberti feels he has been thrown to the wolves over the whole affair. He says his job is basically to point and shoot and has no creative control over the props or setting the scene on the jobs he works. Now, his statement read as such after he was getting a bit annoyed with people calling him out, I guess. Following the hundreds of hate mails and messages I received as a result of the photos I took for the Balenciaga campaign, I feel compelled to make this statement. I am not in a position to comment Balenciaga's choices, but I must stress that I was not entitled in whatsoever manner to neither choose the products, nor the models, nor the combination of the same. As a photographer, I was only and solely requested to light the given scene and take the shots according to my signature style. As usual for a commercial shooting, the direction of the campaign and the choice of the objects displayed are not in the hands of the photographer. Whilst that may well be very true, I can't help but think as a professional you would have the right to refuse a job that amounted basically to CP. Surely your professional and moral stance would be more commendable than and just basically a normal human reaction to at least question it, right? You would, wouldn't you? If you were not happy with a job or an assignment you were given, you don't have to take it up. You could maybe say, look, is this not a little bit, you know, inappropriate? It's making me feel a bit uncomfortable. It's like, you know, I'm not gonna bleat on about this, but you know, there are certain situations I'm sure as a photographer that you would not take up because it's inappropriate / illegal, right? So you do have the right to choose, you know, money or over morality. I guess money wins every time, doesn't it? The ad agency behind both masterstrokes was North 6. They have claimed minimal responsibility over the CP court documents appearing in that one photograph. North 6 are just another in a long line of missed opportunities to stop these campaigns before they gained this sort of traction, indeed before they got any further than the boardroom. Being the ad agency, one would assume that they probably came up with the idea anyway, but they'd have had to run it by the Balenciaga people who would have had to approve it, and then other people within the North 6 ad agency would have needed to approve it. So not just one person just sort of came up with the idea. I know BDSM bears, they go with kids, you know, teddies, kids. Just ignore the BDSM bit of it. Yeah, let's go with that. No, they would have passed it on to various people within the agency who not one person questioned it. I find that unbelievable for an actual advertising, professional advertising company to actually work in that way. As if the catalogue of insanity wasn't bad enough with the BDSM teddies and the CP court documents, things are about to get a whole lot messier. A book was spotted hidden in the backdrop of one of the campaign photographs. Fortunately, this was not in a photo with a child, otherwise I would have been calling CPS myself, let me tell you. The book was by outlandish author Michael Boremans, titled Fire from the Sun. The book is a very, very, very offbeat look at the innocence of children. Now, I'm being very careful with the terminology that I put because I don't want to offend anybody. I think so my description isn't necessarily my opinion, okay? However, in doing this, Boremans has done a series of paintings that depict fully naked children. Some of these include children holding and playing with severed limbs with blood-soaked skin. Okay, I'm whispering that because it is as sick as it sounds, right? It really is. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to show any here, but needless to say, the major news outlets did not disappoint in this regard and showed them in all their bloodied naked glory. The pictures are horrific. Really horrific. I understand different artists have different ways to express themselves, but bloody hell, I cannot for the life of me comprehend what depraved mind came up with such a thing. So it seems I'm not alone in my opinions. These were a few of the reviews off Amazon. Somebody says, vile Amazon, you are shameful. Disturbing look into the elite snuff, and you can read that. Disgusting and unacceptable. Amazon, you should be ashamed of yourself. Just why would this book even be purchased by anybody, either as a prop or for personal use? It leaves me dubious over that person. Ultimately though, why would it have been placed on set of any photo shoot, particularly in a campaign that includes children? I've seen many question where the parents are of the children who were used in this campaign. Well, would it shock you at all if I said they were fine with it? One of the fathers of one of the children has announced that all the kids were children of employees of Balenciaga, and he could see nothing wrong with his child appearing in a photograph with bondage equipment. He announced that all concerned, including the children, had a great time on set and thought it was a massive overreaction. And this is what he had to say. He was speaking exclusively to Mail Online. That's the Daily Mail. The father, who remains anonymous, said he was present at the shoot, which was an enjoyable day out, and insisted the bizarre pictures had been taken totally out of context. Yeah. No parent would actively encourage the child to take part in something which was pornographic, and I think the publicity surrounding what happened has been blown out of all proportion, he said. See, the problem here isn't whether or not the kids were treated well on set. That's the absolute minimum I'd expect them to be. It's what the subsequent shots are being used to depict. Surely the parents can see that. No? So, I mean, he's saying it's an enjoyable day out and they had fun and it was taken out of context. I don't think the context in this instance actually matters too much, because it is what it is. I mean, you look at it as a child carrying something with BDSM. It's just not right in any way, shape or form. You can try and dismiss it and say that it's okay, but ultimately, why would you ever allow your child to do that? I don't know. Apparently they're all fine with it though, so let's move on, guys. Move on, okay? Nothing to see here. When Balenciaga finally came out with their apology, it was worse than that of those YouTubers who are forced to make an apology video. They distanced themselves and absolved themselves of any blame whatsoever. They said, "We would like to address the controversies surrounding our recent ad campaigns. We strongly condemn CA. It was never our intent to include it in our narrative. The two separate ad campaigns in question reflect a series of grievous errors for which Balenciaga takes responsibility. The first campaign, the gift collection campaign, featured children with plush bear bags dressed in what some have labelled BDSM-inspired outfits." Okay, they were not labelled them. What were they supposed to be then, if that's not what they were supposed to be? "Our plush bear bags and the gift collection should not have been featured with children." You told them to do it. It's just, is it just me that's not quite gathering what they're saying here? "This was a wrong choice by Balenciaga. Combined with our failure in assessing and validating images, the responsibility for this lies with Balenciaga alone. The second separate campaign for spring 2023, which was meant to replicate a business office environment, included a photo with a page in the background from a Supreme Court ruling, United States versus Williams, 2006, which confirms as illegal and not protected by freedom of speech the promotion of CP. All the items included in this shooting were provided by third parties that confirmed in writing that these props were fake office documents. They turned out to be real legal papers, most likely coming from the filming of a television drama. The inclusion of these unapproved documents was the result of a reckless negligence for which Balenciaga has filed a complaint. We take full accountability for our lack of oversight and control of the documents in the background, and we could have done things differently. While internal and external investigations are ongoing, we are taking the following actions." So they're going to make some changes, apparently. So everybody, don't worry, they're making changes. "We want to learn from our mistakes and identify ways we can contribute. Balenciaga reiterates its sincere apologies for the offence we have caused and extends its apologies to talents and partners." So this was after they'd blamed the ad agency and the photographer, but they couldn't blame themselves. Not at the beginning anyway. They had no creative input into their own ad campaign, and we've just read there that children shouldn't have been put in the pictures, and it's like, well, what did you sign off on? You must have known. Balenciaga's immediate response to the CP documents was to sue the ad agency for negligence, which resulted with them being associated with a CP court case. $25 million was mooted. Shame they didn't take any responsibility for signing off on the campaign, like any normal human being would do. Okay, I'd just like to clarify one thing before I carry on. I don't want to get anybody confused or make anybody get confused, because I was getting confused myself a little bit. As you could probably tell, my train of thought was tapering off a smidge, but that's because that statement that they came out with was not the first statement that they came out with. The first statements they came out with were on Instagram, and it was basically to denounce any responsibility that they had with the whole thing. They were going to sue the company, the ad agency involved, and they didn't say anything official, and they left the photographer and everybody else to pick up the slack whilst they just sat there and did nothing. And that's why I say that they basically had an awful apology. They did not take responsibility, although in that statement it's saying they're now taking responsibility. A little bit too late, I would say, but anyway, sorry for this interruption. Continue with your video. So, are Balenciaga going to be suing anybody, the ad agency, the photographer, anybody involved in the process other than themselves? Sacking people involved might be a better option, I think. Anyway, no, they are not. Balenciaga have recently dropped the lawsuit against Nautic's ad agency. Is this them finally taking responsibility and accountability? Or did it finally dawn on them that they didn't actually have a case and would have been laughed out of court? Who knew that they had ultimate responsibility as the actual company involved on signing off on such a sick and twisted campaign? That must have come as quite the shock. As I've mentioned, fashion labels are not really my thing, so if celebrities and the general public want to burn their bridges, I say burn away. Balenciaga are wholeheartedly responsible for their own campaigns. Multiple opportunities were missed to stop it in its tracks. Either that or they genuinely thought it was okay. The question I would ask is this: would they have ever noticed the problem had there been no public outcry? As we have discussed, the father of one of the children did not think there was anything wrong with it. So, this suggests that Balenciaga as a company probably had the same mindset. They probably thought, there's nothing wrong with this. This is fine. This is okay. But it was the public that pointed out to them, hang on a second, this is not okay. You can't do this. This is not right. You know, if even the children's parents can't see it, I doubt very much Balenciaga would ever have seen it. If you look at the previous incidents we've covered here, BDSM bears with wine glasses all set up with children, that in itself is hugely problematic. Add to that the CP court document. Whether this was known by Balenciaga execs or was just a prank from the ad agency, it's deeply worrying it even found its way into the photo. Then add to that the disturbing book of naked children which was used as a prop in the BDSM campaign. Although not used in any photos with children, it still adds up to highly concerning stuff. There's no doubt an overhaul of practices need changing at Balenciaga. They've already outlined a few of them, so hopefully they go ahead with that. I myself will not be starting to purchase from Balenciaga. They have not won my trust, but then again, I'm not the target market. I don't really care for things that cost thousands of pounds. Seriously, I don't get it. Okay, I really don't get it. And there you go. A change of executives and leadership could have a positive impact, I would say. Leadership, I think, is the key, because somebody in that office needs to take charge of the situation and say, hang on, this is wrong. This is outright wrong. But the question is, will the brand ever recover from this? I don't know is the answer to that. I really don't know. I'd be interested to find out. I myself would boycott it. Even if I was a customer of theirs, I would boycott it. From what I understand, lots of people are boycotting it as well and don't want to be associated with it. They're losing their brand ambassadors and everything. So nobody right now wants to be associated with the brand. They will have to make huge changes and probably just take, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out. Good luck, Balenciaga. You are going to need it. Thank you all so much for taking the time to be with him. Be here with me today. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. And also, if you are new or not new, because some of you are not signed up yet, please remember I have a membership scheme going on, and it's only $1.99 a month. I know only and money does not go in the same sentence generally. I know it's Christmas and everything, so I fully understand if people cannot afford it, but if you can, just sign up to the membership, and we have a bunch of perks there which are nice. Early release of videos, exclusive videos and things like that. So take yourself over there. Thank you so much for joining me. Please have a lovely day, have a lovely Christmas, wrap up warm, and I will see you again soon in another video. Take care and bye bye.